cause global concern. Tens of thousands of soldiers are set to help. Yesterday, Pope Francis says he is praying the fires will be contained as quickly as possible. And the Holy Father says in order to be saved, we must love both God and our neighbor. At his Sunday address to pilgrims at the Vatican, Pope Francis said doing those things is not comfortable, but with God's grace, we will be able to spend our life for the good of our brothers and sisters. I'm Wyatt Goolsby. Join us tonight on EWTN News Nightly.
From the studios of EWTN, this is Open Line with today's host, John Martignoni. In North America, call toll-free 1-833-288-EWTN. That's 1-833-288-3986. Outside North America, call 1-205-271-2985. You can also text the letters EWTN to 55000 or send an email to openline@EWTN.com.
All right, we welcome you to Open Line Monday here on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. A different host every day. Because it's Monday, we're going to be talking apologetics with our friend John Martignoni. How are you, sir?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
Couldn't be better. You like that jazzy new intro?
I did.
Kind of up-tempo.
It's like, wow, I'm in a new world here.
I could see the
juices are flowing. It's
all
like,
right.
Let's rock and roll, people.
We need to get to it here. Let's open up the phone lines right now at 833-288-EWTN. If you have a question along the apologetics line, that's 833-288-3986. Outside North America, dial 1 and then 205-271-2985, or you can text the letters EWTN to 55000. Wait for our response and then text us your first name and your brief question. Message and data rates may apply. We have Charles Beery as our producer. Ryan Penny is our phone screener. I'm Tom Price along with Mr. John Martignoni. I'm glad you had a good weekend.
How do you know I had a good weekend?
I'm just assuming you had a good weekend because you're smiling. Or maybe you're just glad to be back at back
at
here.
EWTN.
That's right. Could be. Could be.
As I always say when somebody said, did you have a good weekend? I said, it was the weekend, which means it was good by definition.
By definition. Very good.
Yes.
All right.
So yes, I had a good weekend. Had a Swiss guard at my house.
How cool is that?
Feeding him dinner last night.
Do Swiss guards eat a lot of food?
He ate a sizable portion of the chicken, yes.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. This fellow is in America touring around explaining what a Swiss guard is all about, what their responsibilities are. For one thing, they have to be Swiss. Is that correct?
That is correct. It wouldn't make any sense to have Americans in the Swiss Guard
Not
or
really.
Germans. And it's and I asked him the question. I said, so how do the Italians, particularly the Romans, view the Swiss Guards? Because your very presence is a constant reminder that 500 years ago, they turned tail and ran.
That's true.
And you guys stood there for the Pope. He said, they accept us. They're okay.
Okay. All right. Maybe they just hadn't thought that far ahead.
They hadn't realized it. They're short on their history, maybe.
Could be. All right. Well, we've got open lines for you right now. In fact, that is the name of the show, Open Line, here on EWTN. If you have a question for John Martignoni, 833-288-EWTN is our number, 833-288-3986, where we can explain how you can better defend the Catholic faith, which is really what apologetics are all about, right, John?
Absolutely. Apologetics, from the ancient Greek word apologia, or some say apologia, hard G, soft G, doesn't matter to me. And an apologia was the case that a lawyer would make on behalf of his client in ancient Greece. It's not an apology like what we think about today. Oh, I'm sorry for being Catholic. No, that's not what a Catholic apologist does. A Catholic apologist is someone who, like the lawyer in ancient Greece, makes the case for his client. For the Catholic apologist, his client is the Catholic Church, in essence. A Baptist apologist would be explaining and defending the Baptist Church, and so forth and so on. So as Catholics, apologetics, fancy word, but all it means is explaining and defending the Catholic faith.
Well, very good. So if you'd like to join in, do give us a call, 833-288-EWTN, if you have a question for John Martignoni, 833-288-3986. Here's an email from Ben in South Dakota. Ben says, I know the devil is not omniscient, but doesn't the fact that he tempts us according to what he knows about us, doesn't that grant him a sort of omniscience, or at least an omnipresence? Or is there a form of dualism where Satan is the, quote, other God? What say you?
Well, let's just say he knows more than the average guy, around the corner,
Okay.
Yes, he knows a lot about us, and he's not omnipresent because he's not everywhere, although he can be in a lot of places.
Uh-huh.
And he's not omniscient because he doesn't know everything. For example, he doesn't know everything about us, but he's a great observer of human behavior. And so he watches you. He sees what you do, what you say, what you like, what you don't like. Well, did you look at that thing on the computer that you shouldn't have looked at, maybe? So, and he knows a great deal about. He's kind of like Google, I mean, Google knows. Google and PayPal. I'll just say, I did something with PayPal, and I went to them, say, hey, I need to fix something here. And they had me answer these security questions, okay? And it was actually kind of scary.
I'll bet.
The security questions were, okay, in 1987, which of these addresses did you live at? I'm like, what?
That is scary.
How do you know that? And then even, okay, in 1992, what kind of car did you drive?
Gee.
I'm like, what? I'm sitting there going, I don't know if I want to answer any more questions. I don't know if I want to be on the computer anymore.
Kind of frightening.
Yeah, well, and that's what Satan does. He gathers information about you from whatever, he's got his demons who are watching you as well. So from all these different sources, he gets all this information, and then he just tempts you in the same way that Google tempts you with an ad, or that somebody else online tempts you with an ad. These online ad agency folks, advertising folks, they know so much about you. Now, they may not know someone sitting at a computer desk in New York or Charlotte, wherever the company might be. They may not know Tom Price and know your face and everything, that you're but they know the person associated with all this data. Well, I think he needs to get a used car ad on his screen right now. Or he needs to get something about taking a trip to Hawaii right now because of what he's been looking at on his computer or whatever other records they have. So that's how Satan is. Again, gathering information using all of the resources available to him, which are plentiful because he's got all these demons out there doing his work for him. Plus, again, he is a very smart individual.
But he has power if we give him power. Is that right?
That's correct. He cannot make us do anything against our will.
Okay.
So he cannot abrogate our free will. We have free will given to us by God. He cannot abrogate that. So we still have to make the choice. He can make the choice as tempting as he can possibly make it, but we still have to make the choice. He cannot force us to do something against our will.
It is Open Line Monday here on EWTN. We have two lines open right now at 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. Here's an email from Jason now. What is the definition of excommunication? I was taught in school that the person cannot go to heaven if he or she is excommunicated.
Excommunication is a canonical penalty against someone who is in the church, and excommunication is essentially saying you are no longer in the church. And so it would be, I don't know the specifics and the minutia, but I would say if you die in a state of excommunication, chances are not good for you come the hereafter. But I don't know if by canon law or by church doctrine that it's an automatic, hey, they died in a state of excommunication, they're in hell. I don't know that the church does something like that. But again, I would take very long odds that someone who dies in a state of excommunication is probably not in a place that they want to be.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. All right. And one more before we go to break. This is from Robert. If the sacrifice of the Mass is a, quote, unbloody sacrifice, then why does the priest offer up the true blood of Christ?
Well, it's unbloody in the sense that Jesus, the Jesus who walked the face of the earth and is not currently bleeding. It is the substance of his body, blood, soul, and divinity, but he is not currently bleeding. So in that sense, it is unbloody because his wounds have been healed, although you could, obviously as the apostles did, they saw the wounds in his hands and feet and side, but they are no longer bleeding.
All right, very good. Robert, thank you so much for your email. And if you'd like to send us an email for a future show, the address openline@ewtn.com, openline@ewtn.com. In a moment, we'll be talking with John in Dallas, also Eleno in Houston, Texas. And there's a line open for you right now at 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. Open Line Monday with John Martignoni here on EWTN.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
We've started doing these shows. Call in if you're an atheist. Call in if you want to redefine marriage. Those are the kind of shows that make very engaging radio. We're going to continue to try to reach out to the fringes and find those people who fundamentally disagree with us. And we're going to continue to create shows that are going to reach out to those people to draw them in to the fullness of the truth.
Catholic Answers Live, tonight, 6 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Bishop Robert Barron.
For the first 1,000 years, there were married priests within the church. There still are married priests under certain circumstances, so it's not absolutely necessary. However, I'm a supporter of it, and I wouldn't want us to move in the direction of kind of optional, some do it, some don't. I get it. And I go back to Paul, and it's Paul's words that are actually in the ordination ritual, about an undivided life, a total gift. I have nothing but the greatest respect for married people. In fact, when I hear the term heroic sanctity, when they talk about saints, I think of parents right away, who give themselves to their kids. But there's something, I think, pure and simple and undivided about the life of celibacy. It's a radical conformity unto the celibate Christ. Why am I celibate? My ultimate answer, because Jesus was, and I'm conformed to him.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
This is Open Line on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. If you have a question, call 1-833-288-EWTN. That's 1-833-288-3986. Outside North America, call 1-205-271-2985. Or send us an email to openline@ewtn.com.
Hey, tomorrow morning, it is More to Life with Dr. Greg and Lisa Popchak. And tomorrow they'll be talking about this fascinating topic. When someone breaks your trust, how can you heal? Oh, baby. That is a tough one, but they've got the answers for you. Do check out the program More to Life with Dr. Greg and Lisa Popchak tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on EWTN Radio. And if you're ready now, let's get to the phones at 833-288-EWTN. We begin with John in Dallas, listening on Sirius XM 130. John is a first-time caller. Hey there, John. What's on your mind today?
Hello. Thank you very much for hearing my question. I'm kind of struggling with how to ask this, so if you may be able to interpret what I'm asking. But my question is around the issue of mercy killing. I firmly believe that as a Catholic, mercy killing isn't necessarily the right thing to do, but I guess I'm having a hard time defending on why I shouldn't, I should let them suffer instead of ending their life to end their suffering, I guess you could say.
Okay, here's the thing. Mercy killing is a misnomer. There's an old adage, well, I don't know how old, but there's an adage out there that's been around for at least 20, 30, 40 years or so. Verbal engineering precedes social engineering.
Wow.
So the mercy killing, it's merciful. We're going to have mercy on the person. I prefer to call it by what it really is, murder. It's killing a human being. We have no right as human beings to take a life, an innocent life. There is suffering, yes, but suffering is, you can unite your suffering to the suffering of Christ on the cross. And a person's suffering can actually bring great grace to the body of Christ. So there is value in suffering. We know this because, again, of Jesus' suffering on the cross. So our world looks at it as somebody suffering, there's no point in suffering, so there's no point in them living, so let's just mercifully kill them, or let's remove the contents of the placenta. In other words, let's kill the human being there that's suffering, or in the case of the innocent child in the womb that's not suffering. Mm-hmm. So the culture looks at suffering as something that has no value. It shouldn't be, because, hey, we all ought to be happy every moment of every life, pain-free, guilt-free, everything free. And so when something is not in line with that philosophy, well, then you got to get rid of it. You got to do something about it. And the way to end pain is, if you're not taking drugs, is, well, let's kill the person. But with pain management the way it is today, in most cases, I'm not going to say in all, because there are some where people are suffering, even with pain medications and such. Mm-hmm. In most cases, pain can be managed, either, again, through medicines, through diet, through exercise, through various, through prayer, various means that suffering can be abated and dealt with. But in the end, even if it can't be, even in those cases where this person is suffering greatly and they're going to die, well, again, we as human beings do not have the right to take that life before that life ends naturally on its own. We are not the authors of life. God is.
John, thank you so much for your call from Dallas. That opens up a line for you now at 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. It's Open Line Monday with John Martignoni. I want to write down that phrase that you said, verbal, what was it again?
Verbal engineering precedes social engineering. That's why abortion is not, you never hear talked about as on the news as, well, the killing of 1 million babies a year. You hear of it as, freedom of choice. The woman has it, and choice is good,
But the phrase pro-choice didn't exist 50 years ago, did it?
No.
It wasn't in the lexicon.
And then here's the thing. Most people are pro-choice in the terms that, free will. Tom, I am pro the fact that you have the choice to choose God or reject God. I am for that. I'm for you to have that free will to do, because everybody thinks pro-choice is something to do with free will. Free will is good. I get to choose this. But no, it's not. It's pro-choice. What is the choice? That's what you never hear. The
Right.
choice to kill an innocent human being. And not just kill, but dismember. Or I don't know if they still do the saline abortions, where literally you're poisoning and burning the baby in the womb. And the baby is no longer a baby. It's a fetus now. How many people do you, she's pregnant, you're going to have, you have twin fetuses.
No.
You have a baby, and we've gotten to where, baby only has value if the mother wants the baby? If it's well, why all of a sudden then does it have value when it's born? Why can't you kill it when it's born? Which, again, the logical end of the pro-choice movement is that now they're saying, well, you can kill the baby after it's been born because it doesn't have value until I want that baby. And if I don't want it, I don't care if it's born or not. It has no value to me.
Lord have mercy.
Yes, indeed.
All right, back to the phones then for Eleno in Houston, listening on Guadalupe Radio. Eleno, what's on your mind today?
Hey guys, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
John, I heard your video on Bible Christian Society about Genesis and evolution. My question to you is, you talked about old Earth, new Earth, and where in some cases we believe, or we can believe as Catholics, that we evolved it to a certain extent, and then God kind of like put His grace or His Spirit into us. My question to you is, where as Catholics can we find that teaching? I would just like to know where we can find that, because I know you talked about on the same topic. You talked about what we do believe, and it's in the Catechism, and you gave all the numbers of the Catechism. But I just didn't. I would try to do some of research of where to find that, where you say, hey, we as Catholics can believe these three: old Earth, new Earth, and evolution in that sense.
And theistic evolution. Okay, here's the thing. As you mentioned, Eleno, in the talk, I mentioned the Catechism, the Bible. I used the first 3 chapters of Genesis. And the talk is Genesis and Evolution. And if you're interested in it, it's free at BibleChristianSociety.com on MP3 download or free CD, BibleChristianSociety.com. And I also use the ruling of the Pontifical Biblical Commission of June 1909 that talks about 9 things that Catholics need to believe regarding the first 3 chapters of Genesis. And but when it comes to saying that, yes, Catholics can believe in evolution to an extent, as long as they can fit these other beliefs that the Pontifical Biblical Commission laid out beautifully, and which we find in Humani Generis and Pope Pius XII's encyclical in, what was that, 53, I think, and then also in Vatican II, and then in particular in the Catechism. We, as long as you believe those things and you can fit evolution into that model, or make it correspond to those beliefs in some way, shape, or form, you're good to go. And now the church doesn't specifically say, well, you can believe in theistic evolution if you do this, and this is those. The rest of that talk is just the logical outflow of what the church has said. The church doesn't rule on every single possibility and say, yes, this, no, this. It lays down boundaries and parameters within which we're free to believe. So, as I said, those 9 things, again, laid out in the Pontifical Biblical Commission report, that, again, we find in papal encyclicals, we find in Vatican II, and we find now in the Catechism. You believe those things and you want to believe in evolution, well, as long as you believe these things are true that the church teaches about Genesis 3, and you can fit evolution into that in some way, shape, or form, you're good to go. Or if you don't believe in evolution, the church has never said, the church is not a science teacher. Okay? The church with Genesis, it's not trying to tell you the specific timeline of what happened when, how did it happen. It's not trying to give you the mechanics of how did this happen, how was this created, what went on here. It's not trying to do any of those things. So it's just saying, here's the things that we know to be true from God's revelation. You need to believe these as Catholics. And if you believe these things and you want to believe in young earth creationism, you're good to go. Old earth creationism, you're good to go. Theistic evolution, or some would say theistic creationism, you're good to go. The only thing you can't believe in as Catholics is atheistic evolution, where there is no God anywhere in the picture.
Appreciate your call, Eleno. It is Open Line Monday here on EWTN. Let's go to Julie right now. Julie is in Ray, Colorado on Sirius XM 130. Julie, what's on your mind today?
Yeah, I was calling because I was having a discussion with my brother. We were all raised Catholic, but he loves now to show all the ways the Catholic Church is rotten. And I said something about the Old Testament prefigured the New Testament, and the New Testament fulfilled the Old. And among other things, he made the claim, well, yeah, they just wrote the New Testament, so of course that it did fulfill it. So the Old Testament said that the baby would be born in Bethlehem. So of course the New Testament wrote that the baby was born in Bethlehem, blah, blah, blah. So I was just wondering a book or something like that I could point him to show him that he's wrong.
A good resource for that?
I don't know if you can say, I don't know if you can prove to someone like that, hey, the people in the New Testament came up with this incredibly complex, detailed list of events in the life of Christ that match perfectly with all these Old Testament prophecies. How do you do that without somebody at the time saying, well, wait a minute, that didn't happen, and that didn't happen, and that didn't happen? But I'll continue with this on the other side.
Sit tight, Julie. We'll get to that conclusion of your very good question in a few moments here. We'll also talk with Jane in Bennett, Colorado. Bill is in Whitehall, Pennsylvania. We've got lines open for you right now, 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986.
Monsignor Charles Pope.
Healthy cultures esteem age. The hoary crown of wisdom is gray hair. In some cultures, younger children, they're expected to stand up in honor of elderly people.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Sometimes God doesn't change your problems because He's trying to use your problems to change you. Maybe He doesn't remove that obstacle to your goals because He loves you way too much to give you what you want, and He wants you to change your goals. Maybe nothing's working as you planned because God doesn't like your plan. I prayed many times, okay, Lord, I give up. To which I can almost hear Him reply, finally, I've been trying to get you to do that for so long. We tend to blame our problems on everyone else. It's not me, it's my boss, the weather, my husband, the monthly payment on that car I shouldn't have bought because I can't afford it. I almost never hear people say, Chris, I think I need to just change myself. So I want to propose this. Maybe, just maybe, the main thing standing between you and your peace of mind is you. How far does God have to push for you to say, okay, Lord, I give up. Let's try things your way. How about we change me to obtain the peace that I'm dreaming about? Send us a message at connect@reallifecatholic.com. This is Chris Stefanik from reallifecatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
Faith and reason are like two wings on which the human spirit rises to the contemplation of truth. Those inspired words from Pope St. John Paul II echo the Dominican doctor of the Church, St. Thomas Aquinas. This is Father Benedict Kroll, the Director of Mission Advancement for the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas, the Angelicum in Rome. We are proud to claim John Paul II as our most distinguished alumnus. The same classrooms where Father Karol Wojtyła studied theology are still in daily use by our 1,300 professors and students, coming from over 90 countries. Learn more at angelicum.it.
Hi, this is Cy Kellett. Later today on Catholic Answers Live, Rose Sweet, Does Romance Really Matter? And Father Sebastian Walsh on Devotion to Mary. Catholic Answers Live, 6 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio. Now back to Open Line with John Martignoni.
This is Open Line on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
We welcome you back. It is Open Line Monday with our friend John Martignoni here to answer your apologetics type questions at 833-288-EWTN. And before the break, we were talking with Julie in Colorado. Sort of a defense of the New Testament is what was on her mind.
Well, she's trying to find a book or some resource to talk with her brother, or use to talk with her brother, because her brother's saying, well, yes, of course, all the prophecies in the Old Testament fulfill what Jesus' life was and what the events, because the New Testament writers simply took all the prophecies and said, oh, well, here it says he was born of a virgin, so let's make him born of a virgin. Let's put that in there. And here it says, by his stripes we are healed, so let's crucify him. And before his crucifixion, let's have him get whipped. So it's like, how complex, how devious would a person have to be? How intelligent would a person have to be in order to be able to concoct something like that? So what I would do is I would look on, no title comes readily to mind, but I would go online and I would look for a book called something along the lines of the prophecies of the Old Testament, or how Jesus fulfilled the Old Testament prophecy. Do something like that, because there are books out there, and a lot of them are not Catholic books, but that's okay for the most part, because you can even show that, hey, the Protestants don't really get it, because hey, the Lamb's Supper, what's that all about? Well, it shows how the Passover and everything all became the Mass. Well, the Protestants don't get that one. What about baptism in Ezekiel 38, sprinkling with clean water? All your uncleannesses will be made clean, etc. I'll give you a new heart and a new spirit. Well, the Protestants don't get that one. So there's a lot out there that the Protestants don't have when they go through and they say, here's all the Old Testament prophecies that were fulfilled in the New Testament. But that's a very good beginning. And there are literally dozens and dozens and dozens. And you cannot make this thing up and have anybody who was alive at the time not say, this is all fabricated. This guy never lived. Or he did live, but that's not what his life was like. And then why, if it was all made up, did those closest to him sacrifice their lives, their fortunes? Not that they were rich anyway, but their entire income. They gave up everything to follow him, and they died because of him, because of their belief in him. That's the thing you really need to point your brother to, is why did those around him give their lives for what they apparently, according to him, knew were lies? And how did this religion get going if it's completely made up?
Well, yeah. And I was just thinking, it's not like an author or authors sat down in year X and said, okay, we're going to do all this. These books were written over, 40, 50, 60 years?
Yes.
So it just doesn't make any sense.
And the books were, not necessarily written. One author didn't necessarily know what the other author was writing at a particular time. Yeah. So, it just, his theory, his hypothesis makes absolutely no sense, has absolutely no evidence. And what I would do is, again, find a book, go online, or find some articles about, and you could probably go to Catholic Answers or Catholic.com and put in prophecies of the Old Testament and have that pop up, several articles and various things, resources. But I would put the onus on your brother, say, give me the proof that you have that says all this stuff was made up.
Julie, thank you so much for your call. Good luck with your brother. It is Open Line Monday here on EWTN. 2 lines of those open lines are available right now. The number to call, 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. Let's go to Jane now. Jane is in Bennett, Colorado, listening on Catholic Radio Network. Hey, Jane, what's on your mind today?
Yes, hello. My question is that I'm coming from a background where my family, faith to my family was a private thing, not really shared. And whether it was because the truths of the Catholic faith can seem like such hard things to live by, or whether it was just from the type of cultural background that my parents came from. I'm not sure, but what I would like to know are some important questions that could help those left the faith begin to ponder a return to the faith.
Well, let me ask you this real quick. Have they left the faith for another Christian faith, or just unchurched altogether, and are they hostile to the Catholic faith now, or just indifferent?
Say, among family and friends, I would say there's the whole gamut. Some indifference, some just left the faith altogether. Didn't go didn't pursue another Christian.
Okay. Here's how generally I tell people, if you want to start a conversation, don't say anything about the Catholic Church. Just ask them, say, hey, what is it, I know you're going to this church over here. What do they believe? How are you saved? Can you just tell me a little? I'm curious, and you should be truly curious. I'm not saying just, make it up to try to draw it. You should be curious about what they believe at that church or this other church, because when you know what they believe, then you can start formulating responses and arguments against that in terms of the things they believe that are contrary to the Catholic faith. So you ask questions. What do you believe? Why do you believe that? Where is that in the Bible? Can you show me this? Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I see. But what about this? And you listen to their responses, and then you formulate responses based on what they say. You formulate your questions on what they say. You don't have to bring up the Catholic Church or anything. If they ask you questions, obviously you want to answer them. But and with people who are unchurched, you just say, hey, I know you used to be Catholic. Are you going to any church now? Or if you're not going to church, what do you believe about God? I mean, is there nothing? Is this, I'm really curious to find out what people think about why we're here. Why is there something instead of nothing? Why does the universe exist? Why do you think that? I'd really like to get your opinion on that. So you just figure out, and you know them better, obviously, than I do sitting here talking in this chair, but figure out some way that, okay, they're interested in this, they're interested in that. Even though, we've never really talked about the faith, but break the taboo, and you're not really talking about their faith versus the Catholic faith, or they're wrong and you're right. You're just saying, I want to know what you think about this. What do you think about God? Does he exist? I don't think you're not going to any church right now, are you? Okay, that's what I thought. And I was just wondering, what do you believe about God? Do you still believe in God? And if not, what's going on with the universe? How did we get? I'm really, really curious. I'm searching and I'm asking questions in my own faith journey, which you should be. We all should be continually. Mm-hmm. And so that's how you try to get into it, is to try to make it a conversation, maybe, philosophically speaking. What does this mean? What does that mean? Or okay, you're going to the First Baptist Church. What does that pastor teach? Do you like the pastor? Is he good at homilies? What does he talk about in his sermons? Things like that. Ask them questions about what they're doing, where they're at, what they're involved with, and go from there.
We hope that approach works for you, Jane, and we thank you so much for your call. It is Open Line Monday with John Martignoni here on EWTN. Let's go now to Bill. Bill is in Whitehall, Pennsylvania, listening on Sirius XM 130, and Bill is a first-time caller. Hey, Bill, what's on your mind today?
Hi, you were talking about mercy killings.
Yes.
Now, with a patient, well, there's a couple of my family members. They're in a nursing home. We're told they're dying, and they're in pain, and we ask for morphine. Now, we know morphine speeds up the process of dying. Is this wrong? We're trying to keep them comfortable, but it's also speeding up the process of them dying.
Okay, here's the thing. In situations, you would have something, it's called the principle of double effect. You're giving them morphine not to speed up the dying, not to kill them, which you could give them a dose big enough that would kill them. You're giving them morphine to alleviate the suffering. And that is the purpose of the morphine. If the morphine has a double effect, and on the flip side, it may indeed be speeding up the death, which is about to occur regardless. That's not the intent. So the intent is to alleviate the suffering. So, and there's a balance that because sometimes I've talked with people. Well, the doctors just put the morphine in and make sure that there's absolutely no possibility this person feels any pain whatsoever, and so that person not only doesn't feel pain but isn't there in terms of being able to speak with their family and friends and communicate, as opposed to there are some doctors who try to find, well, what's the where's the level that we can give them pain that, okay, they can tolerate the pain, they're still in some pain, but it's tolerable, and it allows them to still be conscious and to still, have a conversation, a meaningful conversation with family, friends, and so forth and so on. So just maybe try to keep that in mind in terms of finding a balance between those two, and not worrying about, okay, is giving the morphine moral or not? Yes, it is, in the sense that you're trying, as long as it's being given not to kill the person, but to alleviate the suffering of the person.
Bill, thank you so much for your very important call. This is Open Line Monday with John Martignoni here on EWTN. I want to remind everybody that if you love the show, as we all do, you may want to check out the podcast. It's available right now. After the show's over with. We can't go ahead in time here.
Give it a few minutes.
Give us a little bit of time, and we'll get it up as quick as we can. And here's the way to access all of our podcasts, all the way from early in the morning, Sunrise Morning Show, and Catholic Connection, and Morning Glory, all the way through the evening shows, programs like Catholic Answers Live. Here's where you find them: EWTN.com/radio/podcasts. You can subscribe to a podcast just like you subscribe to a magazine. It's a wonderful thing. Or you can just go and listen to it on a onesie-twosie basis. EWTN.com/radio/podcasts. Back to the phones now for Janet in Peoria, Illinois, listening on St. Bernadette Radio. Hello, Janet. What's on your mind today?
Hi. I have two questions regarding salvation. The first is, if you can lose your salvation, which actually I believe you can, but I don't understand how. What is Jesus' role in salvation then? And also Jesus said, no one can snatch them out of my hand, so I'm not sure how that all relates. And then the second question is, on Judgment Day, people will say, oh, we called you Lord, Lord, and he said, I never knew you. Do you have any examples of maybe what someone like that on earth right now might look like? How?
Sure. I'll take the last first. The last shall be first.
There you go.
It was just the other day, right?
Awesome.
Yesterday.
That's right.
And we can only speculate. We can't know for sure. But, there are people, and a lot of times, I'll give you an example. There was a church here in Birmingham, large church. I'm not going to name the denomination or the area of town that it's in. But one of the deacons was having an affair and divorced his wife, and his wife had no knowledge of this. Divorced his wife, and his wife was like, why are you divorcing me? Let's go to counseling. Nope. Want a divorce? Why? What's going on? Wouldn't say anything. Just, I'm tired of this marriage. Want a divorce. And 2 months after the divorce is finalized, he gets married. So the wife figures out, he was having an affair. So she goes to the pastor of the church and says, that man should not be a deacon here anymore because he had an affair. And, it says that, lust, and Jesus says, you've committed adultery and all that, and that's bad. It's breaking the commandment. And the pastor told her, said, well, he's already saved, so it's not a salvation issue, so we really don't need to do anything about it.
Wow.
Okay? Now, this is at a large, large church, okay? And so that deacon is not going to repent of that adultery, probably, because it's okay, because it's not a salvation issue, according to them. It's a sin. He broke the commandment, but he's already saved. This is why I say once saved, always saved, or the doctrine of eternal security is so perniciously evil because it makes people think, I did bad, but I can keep doing bad. It doesn't matter because it doesn't affect my salvation.
Nobody can take the get out of jail free out of my pocket.
Exactly, no matter what I do. And like I said, I can't be snatched out of Jesus' hand. Well, yeah, you can't be snatched out of his hand, but you can walk out of his hand free, of your own free will. And that's what's going on there. So that's the type of person I would think would fall. And, hey, the deacon, I was a deacon of the church, Jesus. I was there at all the prayer meetings. I was doing all this, and I was praying over people. And I never knew you. You broke the commandments. Now, the first part, what did Jesus accomplish if you can lose your salvation? Well, before Jesus came, before he was born, before he died and was resurrected, no one could get to heaven. No one. After Jesus died and was resurrected, everyone had the opportunity to get to heaven. So that's what he accomplished. He opened the gates of heaven, and as long as you do what he says, live for him, and as it says in Hebrews 12:14, strive for peace with all men and for the holiness without which no one will see the Lord. You got to be holy to see the Lord. How do you get it? You strive for it. That's what it says in the book. So as long as people are doing that and keeping the commandments, as he says in Matthew 19, where he's asked, what must I do to have eternal life? Keep the commandments. You're doing all these things. You have faith. You have works, all by the grace of God. You can spend eternity with Father, Son, and Holy Spirit in heaven, whereas before he came, you couldn't do that. You had no chance.
You answered both questions, right?
I did.
Fantastic. Janet, thank you so much for your call. It is Open Line Monday with John Martignoni here on EWTN. We're going now to Mark in Jasper, Indiana, listening on WTJW 93.1 FM. Hey, Mark, what's on your mind today?
Good. Can you hear me, sir?
Sure can. What's up today?
Good. Okay. I'm a 47-year-old man. I was born with cerebral palsy. And I've had to go through a lot of trials in my life, and I've got a couple questions. Since I graduated from college, I've gone through 7 jobs in 20 years. It's been very hard on me economically. I'm a person that tries to pray, be a good person, go to church, be charitable, do what's asked of me. And I just don't understand when I'm going through these trials. And then the second question I have, is there scientific evidence of God? And then the third part, if I'm getting back into the Bible and want to build my faith, where's a good place for me to start and go forward? And one of my friends who's a Protestant said, if you read the Bible a certain way, you can read the whole Bible. If you take about 15, 20 minutes a day, you can read the whole Bible within a year. So if you could just go down that list.
Okay. Let's start at the last and move backwards. Where to start? New Testament, Matthew chapter 1. Read the New Testament. Read it several times over before you ever try the Old Testament. Because in the Old Testament, you'll go through Genesis. You go, oh, okay, these are interesting stories. Yeah, keep my attention. You get into Exodus. You still get that. Then towards the latter part of Exodus, and then, Leviticus.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy. Now you start, what the heck is this all about? And roadblock after roadblock, and it's pothole after pothole. And it's like, I have no clue what's going on here, and this is really boring. So New Testament, start there, read it several times. When you're going through the New Testament, look at the footnotes and the citations. They will take you to places in the Old Testament that relate to what you're reading in the New Testament. Also, get the Catechism of the Catholic Church. And when you're reading, say, Matthew chapter 1, go to the Scriptural, the big catechism. Go to the Scriptural index in the back and look where it has Matthew chapter 1 and see where, okay, here in the catechism, Matthew chapter 1, verse, say, 28 is referenced in paragraph 1293 of the catechism. So go and read that paragraph in the catechism so you're getting the sense of how does the church view these verses of the Bible, these passages of the Bible. Bible and catechism together, you cannot lose with that. You might want to consider there's a Bible out, I think, what's the Caven's, a Great Adventure Bible.
Yes.
Okay, and it kind of takes you on a timeline through the Old Testament if you want to do that. But I would still recommend reading the New Testament first a few times and doing what I'm telling you with the catechism, looking at the footnotes and the citations from the Old Testament, and then maybe go through the Old Testament in a linear timeline fashion, which you can do with the Great Adventure Bible that's put out there by Jeff Cavins. Evidence of God. You don't have a God atom or a God DNA. But here's the thing. Science teaches us that every effect has a cause. So let's take a cause and effect in your life. What was the cause of that? What was the cause of that? What was the trace it back through your life. Now back through your parents' lives, grandparents. Go back through history. Go back through time. Go back to the very beginning of time. What caused the universe? There was a cause. Well, it can't be material because matter cannot create itself. Okay, matter does not create matter. Matter changes, but matter does not create matter. So something that was immaterial, or let's say spiritual, caused the beginning of the universe. Was it powerful, this cause? Yes, it was. Was it intelligent? Well, the universe has all these laws that are very precise, so looks to be intelligent. So it's spiritual. It's, it's not matter. It's spirit. It's powerful. Seems to be intelligent. Hey, you don't want to call it God? That's fine, but I'm going to call it God. So no proof from science, but evidence from science. Why are you going through these trials? The Bible tells us that God chastises his sons as he draws them closer. So just all I can say, I'll ask for prayers from all of our listeners for you, and just ask for you to stay patient with God, okay? And realize that there is a reason for the suffering, for what you've been through, and you can't see it right now. Most of us can't, but there is a reason for it, and if you stay true, the reward will be great in heaven. Paul says, I will suffer anything, essentially, on earth because of the reward that will come in heaven beyond. So just keep your eyes on the prize and take each day one day at a time and keep praying to God.
God bless you, Mark. We do appreciate your call. We have time for one more. Anthony is in Detroit, listening also on Sirius XM 130. Anthony, what's on your mind today?
Okay, I have a very unique and imperative dilemma situation. I have a granddaughter who just turned 6. She's never been baptized. She's not raised as a Catholic. My son is not a practicing Catholic. And her mother, I believe, is Christian and not. However, as a living person of the Urelli family, it is my utmost obligation to see that my granddaughter is baptized in the body and blood of Jesus Christ to be a child of God.
Okay,
now, my question is, well, I got a question. I'm going to put the question right now.
We're almost out of time.
Hello?
We're waiting. What is your question?
My question is I'm going to try. I have a timeline. I am going to Phoenix. I'm only going to be there 5 days. It is imperative that she be baptized while I am there this year. She just turned 6. Now, I do know that...
Okay. All right, here's the thing. Because we're running out of time. Sorry to cut you off. Yes, you are able to baptize your granddaughter, with water and proper matter, water, proper form. I baptize you in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, etc. I would go to a priest first, consult with that priest, and talk to him about your situation, a holy priest, an Orthodox priest, and say, Father, what should I do in this situation? Because if you baptize her and they don't follow up raising her in the Catholic Church, baptized people in hell suffer a whole lot more than unbaptized people in hell. So that's what you have to keep in mind. So just go to the priest, discuss it with the priest first, and then, let him guide you as he sees fit
Very good. Anthony, thank you so much for your call. Hope that all works out for you. John Martignoni, thank you, my friend.
My pleasure. And for anybody who wants more of my stuff, BibleChristianSociety.com. All free.
Looking forward to our next visit right here on Open Line on EWTN. God bless.
This is Al Cresta. Let Scripture and the truth of the Catholic Church guide you with today's issues. Cresta in the Afternoon is next on most of these EWTN stations.
Now there's a fast and easy way to get in touch with EWTN. The EWTN Everything number. Call 1-800-447